Hey, what's up everyone? It's Maji here again. In this video I'm going to be discussing the attack, strength, and defensive abilities that come with the Evolution of Combat beta update. If you would prefer to learn about these abilities on your own, then I would suggest you go do that first before watching the remainder of this video, because I'll be going through each category and going straight through the list explaining exactly what each one of them does. So the first set of abilities that I want to talk about are the attack abilities. The first one is Slice, which is a basic ability, and this is where you slice your target for up to 200% weapon damage. In addition, it also has a 10% greater chance of being a critical hit and a cooldown of 5 seconds. Next is Slaughter, which is a threshold ability. This will cause your target to bleed for up to 400% weapon damage over 10 seconds. If the target moves location, they suffer triple the damage. The cooldown for this one is 30 seconds. The third ability is Overpower, which is an ultimate ability. Overpower your target, dealing damage equal to 25% of their maximum life points. It requires level 2 attack and has a cooldown of 60 seconds. The next one is Havoc, which is a basic ability. It instantly attack with both weapons for 100% of both weapons damage. It requires level 7 attack and dual-wielded melee weapons, and it has a cooldown of 10 seconds. The next one is Backhand, which is a basic ability. Smack your target with the back of your hand, stunning them for 3 seconds. Targets immune to stun instead suffer 300% weapon damage. This requires level 15 attack and has a 15-second cooldown. The next one is called Smash, which is a basic ability. Smash your target for up to 200% weapon damage, disabling protection prayers in player versus player combat. It requires level 25 attack and a two-handed melee weapon and has a 10-second cooldown. The next one is called Barge, which is a basic ability. Shoulder barge at your target, stunning it for 3 seconds on contact. Targets immune to stun instead suffer 300% weapon damage. It requires level 34 attack and has a 20-second cooldown. The next one is Flurry, which is a threshold ability. Perform a flurry of blows against your target, dealing 400% weapon damage over 6 seconds. This requires level 37 attack and dual-wielded melee weapons and has a 20-second cooldown period. The next one I want to talk about is called Sever, which is a basic ability. Sever your target's nerves, dealing up to 300% weapon damage and reducing any damage they deal by 10% for 10 seconds. This ability requires level 45 attack and has a 30-second cooldown. The next one is Hurricane, which is a threshold ability. Spin on the spot, dealing up to 400% weapon damage to all adjacent targets. This requires level 55 attack and a two-handed melee weapon, and it has a 20-second cooldown period. The next one is Massacre, which is an ultimate ability. You destroy your target, dealing up to 200% of both weapons damage instantly and causing an additional 200% of both weapons damage over 6 seconds. This requires level 66 attack and dual-wielded melee weapons, and it has a 60-second cooldown period. And the final one for attack is called Meteor Strike, which is an ultimate ability. Crash down on your target with the force of a meteor, dealing damage equal to 40% of their maximum life points. It's only usable on targets with over 50% life points remaining. It requires level 81 attack, and it is a two-handed melee weapon, and it has a 60-second cooldown period. Next, I'm going to cover the strength abilities, the first of which is Kick. It's a basic ability where you kick your target, stunning them for 3 seconds. Targets immune to stun instead suffer 300% weapon damage. This requires level 3 strength and has a 15-second cooldown. The next is called Punish, which is a basic ability. Punish your target's mistakes, dealing 125% weapon damage or 175% weapon damage if they're stunned. This requires level 8 strength and has a 5-second cooldown period. The next one is called Dismember, which is a basic ability. Dismember your target, dealing 200% weapon damage over 6 seconds. It requires level 14 strength and has a 30-second cooldown period. Next is Fury, which is a basic ability. Unleash your Fury, dealing damage equal to 150% of 6 seconds auto attack damage to your target. It requires level 24 strength and has a 20-second cooldown period. Next up is Destroy, which is a threshold ability. Destroy your target, dealing damage equal to 300% weapon damage to your target over 6 seconds, during which time they are also stunned. It requires level 37 strength and dual-wielded melee weapons, and has a 20-second cooldown period. Next up is Quake, which is a threshold ability. Smash your weapon into the ground beneath you, dealing 150% weapon damage to all adjacent targets. It requires level 37 strength and a two-handed melee weapon. It has a 20-second cooldown period. The next one is an ultimate ability called Berserk. Harness your adrenaline to increase all damage dealt, but also all damage received by 100% for 10 seconds. It requires level 42 strength and has a 60-second cooldown period. The next one is called Cleave, which is a basic ability. Cleave through your foes, dealing 75% weapon damage to all targets in a frontal cone. Requires level 48 strength and a two-handed melee weapon, and it has a 10-second cooldown period. The next one is called Assault, which is a threshold ability. Assault your target, dealing damage equal to 250% of 6 seconds auto attack damage to your target. It requires level 55 strength and has a 30-second cooldown period. Next is called Smite, which is a basic ability. Smite your target's defenses, dealing 75% of both weapons damage or 150% of both weapons damage if they are not wielding a shield. This requires level 67 strength and dual-wielded melee weapons. This attack has a 10-second cooldown period. Next is Pulverize, which is an ultimate ability. Pulverize your target, dealing 300% weapon damage and reducing their damage dealt by 25% for 10 seconds. This requires level 81 strength and a two-handed melee weapon. It has a cooldown of 60 seconds. And the final one for strength is called Frenzy, which is an ultimate ability. Perform a frenzied attack lasting 10 seconds. Targets standing directly in front of you take damage equal to 20% of their maximum life points every 2 seconds. This requires level 86 strength and dual-wielded melee weapons and has a 60-second cooldown period. The third and final set of abilities that I'll talk about in this video is the defensive abilities. The first of which is a basic ability called Anticipation. Concentrate on anticipating your foe's attacks, reducing all damage taken by 10% for 10 seconds. This requires level 3 defense and has a 15-second cooldown period. The second one is called Bash, which is a basic ability. Bash your target with your shield, stunning them for 3 seconds. Targets immune to stun instead will suffer 300% weapon damage. It requires level 8 defense and a shield. It has a 15-second cooldown period. Third is Revenge, which is a threshold ability. Enact revenge upon your foes, causing any attacks you receive to increase your damage dealt by 10%, stacking up to 100%. This lasts for 10 seconds. It requires level 15 defense and a shield, and it has a 20-second cooldown period. Next is Provoke, which is a basic ability. Taunt your target, forcing them to focus their attacks on you. Player targets have their damage reduced by 50% when attacking anyone other than yourself. However, you also do 50% less damage when attacking any other player. This lasts for 6 seconds. This requires level 24 defense and has a 10-second cooldown period. Next is called Immortality, which is an ultimate ability. Become an immortal. Any damage you receive is reduced by 25% for 30 seconds. If you should die during this period, you will miraculously return to life. However, the immortality effect will be consumed. Level 29 defense is required for this, and it has a 60-second cooldown period. Next is called Freedom, which is a basic ability. Break free of any snares and gain immunity to any further snares for 6 seconds. Also clears damage over time effects. This requires level 34 defense and has a 15-second cooldown period. Reflect is a threshold ability. Raise your shield, reflecting 50% of any damage you receive back at the attacker, and this lasts for 10 seconds. This requires level 37 defense and a shield. The cooldown period for this one is 20 seconds. Next is called Resonance, which is a basic ability. The next attack you receive within 6 seconds will heal you instead of harm you. This requires level 48 defense and a shield, and it has a 30-second cooldown period. Next is Rejuvenate, which is an ultimate ability. Channel your adrenaline to help restore your life points, healing health, and drain stats over time. This requires level 52 defense and has a 60-second cooldown period. Next is Debilitate, which is a threshold ability. Debilitate your target for up to 100% weapon damage, also reducing any damage they deal to you by 50% for 10 seconds. This requires level 55 defense and has a 30-second cooldown period. Next is called Preparation, which is a basic ability. Prepare for the fight ahead, causing each attack you receive to reduce the remaining cooldown of Resonance by 3 seconds. This lasts for 10 seconds. Requires level 67 defense and a shield, and it has a 5-second cooldown period. And finally is Barricade, which is an ultimate ability. Summon an impenetrable barricade which prevents all damage received for 10 seconds. It requires level 81 defense and a shield, and it has a 60-second cooldown period. So that pretty much wraps up all attack, strength, and defensive abilities for this video. In the next video, I'll be discussing the Constitution, ranged, and magic abilities, so keep your eyes peeled for that, and thanks for watching.